So what would be characterized kind of like as a false teaching?
Well, there's several, and they usually revolve around the essentials of the faith. One is, who is Jesus? In fact, we did our blog this week, who do you say Jesus is? And we kind of deal with that question.
Mhm.
And what you discover is virtually every religion, not all religions, but virtually every religion attaches Jesus to their belief system in some way.
Okay.
And it usually comes to the point in the discussion of his humanity and his deity. It almost always, that's where it breaks down. So, for example, if you have a Jehovah's Witness you're talking to, they think that understanding God is something that we can logically do and explain. And so, if we can logically explain it and understand it in rational ways, in concepts that we can understand,
Mhm.
that is God. I can't understand why God would incarnate in the flesh, number one, or how. So it's the how and why questions, always the how and why questions. So what they do is they get to this point of the divinity of Christ and the humanity of Christ, and they go, I can't explain it, therefore it isn't true. So they go for his humanity. He's just a man,
Mm,
right? Now you start having problems with that.
right.
And
Yeah.
and you see this happen in every false teaching is once you deny a fundamental doctrine of biblical faith, you have to start fixing that doctrine somewhere down the road.
Mm.
So he's just a man. He's not God. Next thing, he doesn't have a soul because we are a soul. Okay, but here's the problem. If you don't have a soul, then what happens when you die? Oh, you cease to exist. Okay, but if you cease to exist, right, you just have a body, you everything that you are, everything you think, every aspect of you that exists in your physical body and in your brain and in your blood. You cease to exist now because you die. How do you do a resurrection? That's the problem. What's going to be raised up? Because there's nothing left. The you is gone. So they say, oh, well, that's easy. God just creates a replica that looks like you. He has a copy of your memories stored. It used to be on a phonograph record. I think now it's in the cloud somewhere. Uh, and he makes then a copy of his copy because the original memories are gone. And he puts them into the newly created being and calls it you. That's what they teach. And
Huh.
that's how they go about trying to fix this issue of resurrection. Another doctrine, well, the Trinity would be another one because they kind of go hand in hand, right? I can't understand the Trinity, therefore the Trinity can't be true. Or they'll go another way and they'll try to create something that's Trinity-like. That's where the Mormons go. Because the Mormons, they get to the point of Jesus' humanity and deity,
Right.
and they want to affirm something that sounds biblical. And so they go, okay, Jesus was born on another planet near the star-based Kolob. He was a spirit being, and we're all spirit beings, and we're all born on this planet. And then he came to Earth where he got a physical body, where he then could go and earn his godhood, as all gods and goddesses have done before him. And so the Trinity is the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, all of which are physical beings that were born on other planets that became gods as well. And they are kind of the gods of this planet. And so we too can become gods or goddesses on our planet. So they distort the Trinity, they distort the deity and humanity of Christ, and then make us gods like all gods before us. So deity of Christ is always the problem. Humanity of Christ, those two issues. If you go into Eastern mysticism of some kind, Hinduism, for example, if you ask them if Jesus is God, they go, yes, of course. But what do they mean? Well, now we get into something that Dr. Peter Jones calls oneism versus twoism, and hopefully this makes it simpler. Oneism is that everything is God. And so God is part of creation. The trees are God, the rocks are God, you're God, I'm God. Versus twoism, which is that God is separate from creation. He created everything and interacts with it, but he is not the creation itself. Right? Two different views. Now, when I talk with those who hold this view, most New Agers hold this view as well. I want to go through and say, now help me understand, just so we're both talking the same language. Everything is God. The table we're sitting at is God. The book you have in your hand is God. The shelves behind you is God. The rocks are God. The trees of God. Yes, yes, yes. And what my cat left in the litter box this morning is God. So instead of raising ourselves in the status of godhood, some grandiose idea, aren't we really lowering everything that exists to the lowest common denominator, what my cat left in the litter box this morning? Now, they don't really like that, but that's what they're doing ultimately.